In that fancy gated neighborhood, she ruled like a queen on her throne. Her house, the biggest one on the block, all shiny and grand. Her car, a real beauty, the kind that turns heads and costs more than most folks dream about. She looked down her nose at everybody, figuring she was a cut above the rest. As the HOA president, she laid down the law for everyone else to follow, like she owned the whole dang place. But on that ordinary afternoon at the gas station, she crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She spotted a sweet little girl with cerebral palsy, one who couldn't walk the way other kids do, and for no good reason. Fury just boiled up inside her. She unleashed a storm of ugly, hurtful words on the mom and that precious child, slicing right into their hearts with her meanness. But hold on, what came next? It left folks shaking their heads in disbelief. Just 5 minutes after peeling out of that parking lot, her phone rang with news that turned her world upside down. Fired from her job, just like that. Her perfect little life crumbled to dust. Turns out, the security camera caught every ugly second, and before she knew it, the whole world was tuned in, watching her fall. But stick around for the full tale. It's got heart, twists, and a lesson that'll stick with you. Before we dive in, drop a comment down below. What country are you tuning in from today? And hey, hit that subscribe button if you love these real-life stories that hit home. More coming your way. It was one of those crisp mornings, where the sun hangs low and golden, warming everything it touches like a gentle hug from an old friend. Sarah had decided it was the perfect time to bundle up her little girl, Emma, and head to the gas station down the road. Emma was 7, full of that wide-eyed wonder kids have, and she lit up like a firefly at the thought of popping into the store for a treat, a candy bar, or maybe a gumdrop or two. Sarah, bless her heart, was a rock-solid mom, juggling her days as a manager at a bustling marketing firm. She pulled in a steady paycheck, the kind that let her and Emma live comfortable in that upscale neighborhood where the lawns were manicured, like golf greens, and the driveways sported cars that gleamed under the streetlights. But Sarah? She wasn't cut from the same cloth as those polished ladies sipping Chardonnay at block parties. No, sir, she was the real deal kind, as a summer breeze, humble as homemade pie, and her love for Emma, it ran deeper than the roots of an old oak tree, fierce and unshakable. Now, Emma had come into the world fighting from the get-go. Born with cerebral palsy, her little body didn't cooperate the way most do. Walking was a slow, determined shuffle, and her words tumbled out a bit fuzzy, like they were wrapped in cotton. The doctors, those white-coated folks with clipboards and serious faces, had pulled Sarah aside right after the delivery. She'd never be like the other kids, they'd said, their voices heavy with pity. It'll be tough, real tough. But Sarah, she didn't buy into that gloom and doom for a second. She scooped her baby girl close, looked into those trusting eyes, and whispered promises that no doctor could rewrite. To Sarah, Emma was perfect, just as she was a bundle of joy wrapped in a challenge. But oh, what a joy. Sarah treated her like any other Spitfire 7-year-old. School in the mornings, playdates in the afternoons, bedtime stories under a quilt stitched with love. Emma had friends who saw past the wobbly steps to the sparkle in her soul, and that smile of hers, Lord Almighty, it could chase shadows from the stormiest sky, bright enough to make strangers grin back, without knowing why. Sure, she needed a hand to steady her on uneven ground, but Emma, she laughed like a bell ringing clear across a meadow. She loved with arms wide open, and dream. That girl dreamed bigger, about adventures in far-off lands, about being a ballerina who twirled on wheels, about a world that rolled out the welcome mat for her, just as she was. Hand in hand they went, Sarah's steady grip guiding Emma's smaller one as they eased into the gas station. Emma's steps were careful, deliberate, her legs working overtime for every inch, but her face, pure sunshine, eyes dancing with the thrill of choosing her candy. Sarah's heart swelled watching her. Those little victories, the ones most folks take for granted, felt like gold in her pocket. Little did she know, This quick errand, meant to be as simple as filling the tank and grabbing a sweet, was about to unravel into something that would rewrite their stars. Over by the candy aisle, under the fluorescent buzz of the lights, stood a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a glossy magazine ad. Karen Mitchell, 45 and polished to a shine, dressed in clothes that screamed "I can afford this," and drove a ride that purred like a contented cat. By day, she lorded over her corner office at the local bank, crunching numbers and calling shots like she owned the vault. But peel back that fancy exterior, and Karen was hollow, inside a heart full of thorns. No kids to fill the empty rooms of her big house, and no true pals to share a laugh over coffee. Just a simmering pot of bitterness, always on the boil, ready to spill over on anyone who crossed her path. She sized folks up like they were on trial, her judgments sharp as a switchblade. Money made her feel superior, like she was perched on a pedestal, while the rest of us scrambled in the dirt below. When Karen's eyes landed on Emma, shuffling along with Sarah's arm looped protectively around her waist, something twisted ugly in her gut. She wrinkled her nose, rolled those heavily made-up eyes, and stared at the child like she'd tracked mud across a fresh-mopped floor. To Karen, Emma wasn't a little girl full of spunk. She was an inconvenience, a blemish in the perfect world Karen had built around her own narrow view. Sarah, bless her, missed the whole ugly display, focused on lifting Emma just a tad higher to snag that elusive shelf of treats. Emma's eyes zeroed in on a lollipop, the kind that swirled in cherry red, big as her fist, and promising a burst of sticky joy. "All right, sugar," Sarah murmured, her voice soft as a lullaby. "That's the prettiest one yet. We'll make it yours." Emma's grin stretched ear to ear, her chubby finger wobbling toward the prize. But it veered off course, trembling from the palsy that sometimes played tricks on her muscles. It happened now and again, that shaky rebellion, but Emma, she just giggled through it, unbothered, her happiness a shield against the world's quirks. Karen, though, saw it all, the tremor, the extra nudge from Mom, and it lit a fuse she didn't even understand. Maybe it was envy bubbling up, seeing Sarah's quiet grace, the easy bond between mother and child that Karen had never known. Maybe it was the mirror Emma held up to her own barren life, reminding her of the laughter that echoed hollow in her halls. Or hell, maybe it was just the emptiness gnawing at her, turning to venom because pointing fingers felt better than looking inward. Whatever the spark, Karen strode over, heels clicking like Judgment Day on linoleum. "Pardon me," she snapped, her tone slicing through the air like a winter gale, "but why on earth would you drag that that thing into a place like this? Folks come here to feel normal, not uneasy. Just look at her, it's downright off-putting. She ruined the whole vibe. She doesn't belong." Sarah went stock-still, like ice had gripped her spine. The words hung there, poisonous fog, and for a heartbeat, her world tilted. She turned, searching Karen's face for some sign it was a joke gone wrong, but those eyes, cold as a banker's ledger. "I'm sorry," Sarah stammered, her mind reeling. "What did you just say?" Karen doubled down, cheeks flushing not with shame but with that false righteousness bullies cling to. "You heard me fine," she hissed. "That kid of yours. She's nothing but trouble. Parading her around in public like this, it's embarrassing, revolting, even. You're doing her no favors, and frankly, you're a lousy parent for it. Keep her hidden. It's kinder that way." That word thing, it landed like a sucker punch, stealing Sarah's breath. No one had ever stripped Emma of her name, her humanity, like that. It clawed at Sarah's chest, hot tears pricking behind her eyes, but beneath the sting, a fire kindled raw, protective rage for the child she'd fight heaven and earth for. "Her name," Sarah said, voice quivering but gaining steel, "is Emma. She's my beautiful girl, perfect in every way that counts. And you're the one dripping poison, lady." Cruel doesn't even cover it. Heads turned in the store, a ripple of whispers and wide eyes. The clerk behind the counter, a young fellow with tattoos peeking from his sleeves, froze mid-scan, jaw slack. An older gentleman by the coolers, silver-haired, and leaning on a cane of his own, narrowed his eyes at Karen like she'd spit on the flag. But Karen, she wasn't done pouring salt in the wound. She leaned in closer, jabbing a manicured finger toward Emma. "Look at her," she bellowed, voice echoing off the chip bags and soda fridges. "This is what comes from folks not thinking twice. Bad choices, bad blood, your girls, living proof. She shouldn't even be here, taking up space, wasting breath. It's a shame, plain and simple." Something in Sarah shattered then, not her spirit, but the dam she'd built around her deepest fears. The worry that the world might never see Emma's light. The ache of every sideways glance. The fierce love that had carried them through doctor's visits and therapy sessions. It all surged up, a flood of truth and fury. Sarah stepped forward, smaller in stature, but towering in that mama bear way. Her eyes locked on Karen's like she could stare down a storm. "You want to know what my Emma can do," she said, her words steady now, ringing clear. "She loves with her whole heart, wide open and without strings. She dreams up worlds bigger than this one, full of color and wonder. She lights up rooms just by being her, pulling smiles from folks who'd forgotten how. Every morning she makes my ordinary life feel like a gift. What about you, huh? All you spread is shadows, hurt, division, a chill that lingers. You're the waste here, not her. Never her, my girl. She's a miracle walking." Emma, bless her innocent soul, started to whimper then, fat tears rolling down her cheeks. She couldn't grasp the big words or the why of it all. But meanness has a tone all its own, sharp enough to nick even the purest heart. Sarah scooped her up in one fluid motion, cradling her close, Emma's damp face burrowing into the crook of her neck like a bird seeking shelter. The old man hobbled over, his cane thumping like a gavel. "Ma'am," he growled at Karen, voice gravelly from decades of hard-won wisdom, "you oughta hang your head in shame. I'm 72, come spring, seen wars and weddings, floods and feasts, but nothing as low down as this. That child's done you no wrong. You're the beast in this fairy tale, not her. Walk away before you dig that hole any deeper." The clerk, snapping out of his shock, grabbed the store phone. "That's it, time dialing the cops," he barked at Karen, his young face hardening into something fierce. "You don't get to talk to decent folks like that. Out, now, or I'll make sure you regret sticking around." Karen's mask cracked for a split second, eyes widening, that tough act flickering like a faulty bulb. But pride's a stubborn mule. She tossed her hair, muttering, "Fine, whatever. I was just speaking facts. That kid's a mess." "Out," the clerk roared, pointing to the door like he was herding cattle. Karen stormed off, but not without one last venomous glare over her shoulder at Sarah and Emma. Her parting shot a hissed, "You'll pay for this. Mark my words." Sarah's hands trembled as she fished out cash for the lollipop, the red swirl now forgotten on the counter. She guided them to the car, buckling Emma in with extra soft kisses, then slid behind the wheel. The tears came then, hot and unstoppable, as Emma fiddled with her seatbelt, confusion clouding her big eyes. "Mommy," she whispered, voice wobbly as her steps. "Why'd that lady yell like that? Was I bad?" Sarah choked back a sob, pulling her close across the console. "Oh, baby girl, no, not you, never you. Some grown-ups carry storms in their pockets, let 'em loose on the wrong folks. But listen here, that's their burden, not ours. We're the lucky ones, full of light, full of each other, and that's more than enough." She stroked Emma's hair, breathing in that baby shampoo scent, but inside, Sarah was cracked open, the wound throbbing like a bruise you can't see. Those words echoed in her skull, a cruel litany that twisted her gut. Sleep dodged her that night, the clock ticking past midnight as she replayed the scene on loop, the sneer, the finger, the tears. By morning, she dragged herself to the office, plastering on a smile for meetings and memos, but her mind wandered back to that fluorescent hell, pondering how the world could harbor such sharp edges. Lunchtime brought a summons to the boss's office, that glass-walled perch overlooking the city skyline. "Sarah," he said, rubbing his neck like it ached, "we've got a mess on our hands." Her stomach plummeted, a cold dread settling in her bones. "What's going on?" "A client blew up the line this morning," he explained, avoiding her eyes. "Claims you went off on her yesterday at a gas station, of all places. Says you swung at her, hollered like a banshee. Talking lawsuits, bad press for the firm." The room spun, and Sarah, gripping the chair arms to steady herself. "That's a bald-faced lie. I never laid a hand, nothing like that. But yeah, some woman lit into my daughter, cruel as a cat in a sack. I stood up for Emma, told her off with words, that's all. Defended my child who wouldn't." The boss shifted, papers rustling like dry leaves. "Her name's Karen Mitchell, bigwig, at First National. She's got pull, knows the right ears. Called here, stirred up a hornet's nest elsewhere too, painting you as unhinged, a unfit mom even. Says Emma's some kinda risk to others." Fresh tears welled, but Sarah blinked them back, fire in her veins. This is slander pure rot. Why swallow it, hook, line, and sinker? "I believe you, Sarah, I do," he sighed, looking pained as a man confessing defeat. "But the high groups, their spooked lawsuits, headlines, the works. We've chewed it over, and we're letting you go. Effective today. It's not right, but it's done." 2-week severance, glowing reference seemed gutted, truly. 5 years she'd poured into that place late nights, promotions earned on grit and, poof, gone. All because one venomous tongue wagged lies to save her own hide. "This ain't fair," Sarah whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. "You can't, I know," he cut in, standing to end it. "Doors open if things cool, but for now, take care." She gathered her desk trinkets into a sad cardboard box, photos of Emma grinning gap-toothed, a mug from her first big account, and trudged to the car. Slumping in the seat, she let the sobs rip free, raw and ragged, the weight of it all pressing like a summer storm. That afternoon, she swung by school early, plastering on a brave face, as Emma skipped well, shuffled out, backpack swinging wild. No mention of the axe. Just hugs and ice cream cones on the drive home, savoring the normal in the chaos. Evening found Sarah at her kitchen table, laptop glowing in the dim, fury fueling her fingertips. She dug online, unearthing Karen's bank profiles, miling headshot, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, social media snippets of Gallus and gripes, even the address in their shared zip code, that sprawling McMansion mocking from Google Maps. In the quiet dark, anger coiled tight, whispering temptations, a strongly worded email, a neighborhood whisper campaign, something to mirror the hurt. But Sarah exhaled slow, picturing Emma's trusting face. Revenge, it'd taint her soul. No, she'd rise above, or so she told herself, even as the ache gnawed deeper. Dawn woke with her phone buzzing like an angry hornet. Unknown number, but she answered, voice thick with sleep. "Ms. Johnson. Rebecca Torres, Channel 5 News. We've caught wind of the gas station dust-up. Mind if we chat about your side?" Sarah bolted upright, pulse thundering. "How'd you?" "Security footage," Rebecca replied, warm but professional. "Owner reviewed it, saw red over that woman's antics. Forwarded the clip our way, spilled about your job loss too. Powerful stuff, folks need to hear from you." Heart hammering like a bass drum, Sarah murmured yes, a spark of something, vindication, hope, flickering alive. 2 hours later, she and Emma were in the newsroom bustle, bright lights and bustling techs, a whirlwind around them. Rebecca, mid-40s, with kind laugh lines and a nonsense bob. Pulled up chairs, listening as Sarah unspooled the yarn from the sunny errand to the venomous outburst. The job's cruel boot. Emma colored quietly nearby, oblivious to the gravity. Rebecca cued the video, grainy, but gut-trenching, Karen's tirade in stark relief. Sarah's stand like a lighthouse in fog. The old man's gravelly defense, a footnote of decency. "This'll rile folks up good," Rebecca said, eyes flashing. "But it's the truth, plain wrapped. Your courage. It's the hook. Airing tonight ready. Come evening." Screens across the heartland flickered to life with the segment. A mother's fierce stand, battling bigotry at the pump. Clips rolled Karen's snarls, Sarah's steel, the bystander's boom. The old-timer, Mr. Hargrove, as it turned out, faced the camera in his flannel shirt. "Seen my share of ugly, but that pure poison on a little one broke my heart and fired me up." Views spiked like a fever, shares rippling out on social feeds, comments flooding with outrage and outpourings. "Monsters walk among us props to that mama. Boycott that bank till they boot her. Emma's a warrior, Karen's the weak link." By morning, First National's lines jammed with irate callers, voices from truckers to teachers demanding justice. "Fire that bigot," one growled. "Your values, laughable if you keep her." Karen's summons came swift, corner office, boss's face thunderous. "Your actions, unforgivable, tarnish on our name. Packet security'll escort." She stumbled to her SUV, shell-shocked, the queen dethroned in a blink. Irony bit deep. She'd yanked Sarah's rug, only for hers to vanish too, but deserved. In the eyes of the world, every inch. Yet the tail didn't tie up neat there. 3 days on, Sarah's cell chimed again, not dread this time, but daylight. A recruiter from a powerhouse firm, voice bright, saw the broadcaster poise under fire. "Admirable love for that girl of yours. Inspiring. We've got an opening. Senior role, bump in pay. Yours if you want it." Sarah's yes tumbled out, laced with disbelief. A week in, she stepped into her new digs open planned vibe, team that toasted her story over coffee, not coffee break gossip. Colleagues swapped tales of their own kin, barriers crumbling like old walls. Emma thrived too, school days unshadowed, her laughter echoing freer. A month rolled by, and another ring. A lawyer, polished and purposeful. "Ms. Johnson, on behalf of the Ellisons, their daughters, got CP, just like Emma. Your segment hit M like lightning. Inspired a foundation, aid for families navigating this road, grants, therapies, community. They'd be honored if you'd helmet, part-time to start. Happy tears this time, the good kind that wash clean." "I'd be blessed," Sarah breathed. Dual gigs now, marketing by day, mission by heart. The foundation bloomed, tendrils reaching rural clinics and city centers, doling out hope in checks and counseling. Hundreds of families breathed easier, wheelchair ramps funded, speech aids shipped, parent circles, where shoulders met for the load. Emma hit 9, still navigating on determined legs, words clearer, but uniquely hers, like a song with its own melody. Happiness, her constant companion, friends orbiting her glow, dreams sketched in crayon, of teaching art to kids like her. But Karen, the fallout clung like burrs. Job hunts fizzled, resumes ghosted, interviews soured when her name pinged alerts. Months blurred in her echoing manse, saving a thin buffer against isolation's bite. Loneliness crept in, shame's quiet companion, forcing a reckoning in the wee hours. Curled on silk sheets, she'd weep for the void she'd nursed, the barbs she'd flung at strangers to dodge her own mirrors. No kids' artwork on the fridge, no shared sunsets, just echoes of what-ifs. The anger, it stemmed from her, a self-loathing turned outward like a misguided arrow. One gray afternoon, solitude cracked her open. She dialed a therapist, voice small. "I need help unpacking this mess inside." Sessions peeled, layers, childhood slights, unhealed wounds, the myth of money mending all. Kindness crept in, tentative as a fawn, through books on empathy, walks where she nodded to neighbors. Change, slow as sap rising, but real. 2 years post-pump fate, nudged at a cozy coffee shop, steam curling from mugs like whispered secrets. Sarah and Emma sipped hot cocoa, Emma's foam mustache drawing giggles. Karen hovered by the door, pulse racing, then crossed the room on jelly legs. "Sarah," she ventured, barely above a breath. Sarah glanced up, recognition flashing like summer lightning anger's echo, but tempered by time. Karen cool clipped, a wall still half up. I'm so sorry," Karen plunged, eyes downcast, hands twisting a napkin to shreds. "Words can't glue back what I broke, not for you, not for Emma, that bright light I tried to dim. I've clawed my way through therapy, soul-searching, replaying your stand 1,000 nights. Your girl's joy, it haunts me, beautiful. Your strength, it shames me good. I was lost, lashing out at shadows." Sarah held her gaze, weighing the tremble, the raw, edges, no script. Just regret, carved deep, forgiveness. Not a switch to flip. "Glad you're owning it," she said finally, voice even. "But the scar on my girl's heart, on mine, it lingers. Sorry's a start, not the finish." Karen nodded, swallowing hard. "Fair. But let me prove it, actions over air, that foundation of yours. I'm wiring funds, ongoing. Want to lift families like yours? Kids like Emma? Turn my poison to fertilizer, if you'll let me." Sarah studied her, the plea hanging soft. "Help if it's true in your bones," she allowed. "But no parade, no pardon expected. Do it, 'cause the world's short on grace otherwise." Karen agreed, relief flooding like rain on parched earth. Checks followed steady, selfless fueling programs, adaptive sports leagues, family retreats under starlit skies, where parents swapped war stories and wins. Volunteering pulled her deeper, foundation hubs alive with pin-sized miracles. Karen wiped counters at playgroups, her hands steadying wobbly high-fives. She marveled at tots defying labels, a girl with spina bifida zooming trikes like pros, a boy with autism scripting symphonies on keys. Mistakes, the world whispered once. Karen saw wonders now, each a testament to resilience's quiet roar. Then came Marcus, 5 and sunbeam bright Down syndrome, etching his features, but not his spirit. He barreled into her at a craft circle, arms flung wide for an unearned hug. "You smell like cookies," he beamed, oblivious to history. Karen knelt, enveloping him, and the dam burst sobs for squandered years. For the hugs she'd denied herself, the lives she'd nearly darkened forever. In that embrace, pieces slotted home. This was redemption's texture, warm and unscripted. Sarah observed from afar, Marcus's laughter bridging old chasms. Change isn't a thunderclap. It's rain, persistent and renewing. She noted Karen's softened edges, the way she'd linger post-shift to read stories. Voice cracking on happily ever afters. One crisp fall day, Sarah mustered courage for a leap. Emma's 10th birthday bash, backyard strung with lights and laughter. Balloons bobbed like dreams, cake layers towering chocolatey. "Karen's coming," Sarah told Emma over pancakes, gauging those wise beyond ears eyes. "Remember the mean lady from way back? She's sorry now, helps lots of kids like you. Up to you, if you want her here." Emma tilted her head, processing slow but sure. "Does she like cake?" A shrug, a smile kids forgive, in layers, not ledgers. Karen arrived tentative, gift bag clutched like a shield, art supplies, vibrant and boundless. Emma, mid-pin to tail, glanced up as Sarah bridged. "This is Karen, sweetie. Long ago, she said unkind stuff that hurt us. But she's learned. Changed helps our foundation big time. Thinks you're pretty special." Emma peered, unclouded by grudge, seeing only a lady with kind crinkles. "You like lollipops," she piped, direct as a dart. Karen's laugh bubbled wet with wonder. "Adore red one's best, all swirly and sweet." "That's what I picked that day," Emma confided, unfazed. "Wanna chase bubbles with me?" And chase they did, bubbles iridescent in sunset, cake smeared on chins, games dissolving walls. Karen's first real romp with a child felt like roots finding soil, a homecoming to joy she'd ghosted. Laughter peeled, true, unforced, stitching her into the fabric. Years wove on, queries turning to Sarah like moths to flame. Forgiven her then. She'd ponder, cupping tea steam. Forgiveness, it's slippery, not a box to tick. What I know is this: I didn't let her venom turn me venomous. Hate it, knocked, but love barred the door. Emma showed me a girl with every excuse to scowl, yet she beams like dawn. That's my North Star. Karen echoed the wisdom, her days now laced with purpose. Board meetings where her voice advocated fierce. Donor drives netting dreams for the disabled. Kindness outlasts cruelty. She'd say, eyes bright. Love, it's the tide that reshapes shores. Emma, teen now with braces glinting and ambitions aflame, would chime in. Mom's my hero, tough as nails, soft as whispers. She taught different ain't deficit. It's dazzle, it's you, and Karen. Proved folks ain't fixed, they flower with tending. She's family now, crashing parties, quizzing my algebra, reminding me I'm gold, the old hurt. Faded photo, not fresh wound fuel for pride in Mom's shield, in the grace that grew from grit. The foundation swelled, a beacon drawing thousands, therapy grants blooming in backwaters, advocacy arms twisting policy toward equity. Docs referred, schools partnered, Uncle Sam pinned medals on its banner. Sarah keynoted campuses, her voice steady. Payne's a teacher, not a tyrant, choose growth over grudge. But anchors held, that pump's shadow, jobs echo, Emma's tear-streaked cheek. On weary days, she'd trace her girls' laugh lines, recall the chorus of Emma's worldwide craving champions. Parents' forums buzzed her inbox, your tale, our lifeline. A scribe, once probed, that day haunt you still. Sarah mulled, gaze drifting to Emma, 15 and fierce, scripting poems that soared. It visits, sure but softer now, like an old scar that itches less. Once, it stung with spite. Today, its pivot, the fork where comfort cracked to calling. That ugliness birthed beauty, the foundation's reach, purpose, pulsing true. Regret it? Nah, I'd swap Karen's bite for nothing. It carved space for this. Emma, eavesdropping, bridged fingers. You spun ugly to art, Mom like fairy dust on thorns. That's your magic, the gift you pour into every family we touch. Time's river flowed, Emma matriculated, cane clicking, confident to podiums of her own. Mom's love, my superpower, she'd declared 2 wrapped rooms, against a world that squints at different. We're retooling views, one story, one smile. Karen championed parallel, coffers open, sleeves rolled for fundraisers under harvest moons. Her tale, cautionary gold. I was storm, now I'm shelter. Decades mark brought fanfare, the Medal of Valor for civic hearts. Gala glow under chandeliers, the president presiding, lenses worry. Sarah ascended steps, Emma at her side, 25, cane a scepter, stride a statement, smile on. The chief gripped her hand. You've rewritten rights, rallied resources, 50,000 families fortified. A nation nudged to embrace the extraordinary in every form. Applause thundered as Sarah claimed the mic. A sea of faces, suits, survivors, supporters blurring soft. 10 years back, she launched, voice honey, over gravel. I was coasting. Solid gig, stunning daughter, but adrift from destiny. Then cruelty, crashed a stranger, savaged my Emma, words whipping like hail. Cost me my livelihood, left me reeling in the wreckage. Pause, eyes on Emma's, love's lasso unbreakable. But this child, blessed with cause for bitterness, starved for spite, chose shine. She schooled me, pain's palette, yours to paint rage or renewal. We opt out of the dark. We forged light, emotion crested, throat tight, defending her. It detonated my path to this mission, these mended lives, proving disabled darlings ain't flawed. They're flawless forces, tomorrow's trailblazers. Roars rose, tissues dabbing, flashes popping. Emma beamed, tears twin rivers of pride. One more thread, Sarah pressed, on transformation's thread. Change is chronicle, not myth. the woman who wounded us. She's toiled tenfold to men volunteering valor, funding futures. Today, she's kin. Spotlights swung, Karen rose, damp-cheeked, cheers cascading. True shift. Forged in mercy, mending divides with might. Compassion conquers. Love levels all. Stage descended to embrace Seisma's crush. Karen's murmur, grateful for the grace that grafted me in. Never too late for better. Festivities flowed, toasts tinkling, tales tumbling of triumphs. Tallied kids coding apps from wheelchairs. Choirs, chorusing challenges. A guest queried Sarah, "You've scaled Peak's what summit next?" Eyes on Emma. Eradicate echoes of that pump's pain. No kid shunned 4 steps that sway. Revamp curricula on capability, culture on inclusion. A realm where cerebral palsy strides any aisle, any academy, met with warmth, not wrath. Lofty, the guest breathed. Lofty wins, Sarah reposted. One soul spark swells. Maternal might moves mountains. Emma clasped. Your love, limitless. Different. My diadem, not chain your lesson, now legend. Homeward bound, Emma dozed against the glass. Sarah's gaze grateful, for grit forged in fire. Paths paralleled in purpose. Across town, Karen framed a faded snap. Emma's hug, at 10 vowing vigilance. Amends in action. Cruelties, counter-eternal. This yarn, it's a mirror and a map. Cruelty recoils, ricocheting ruin. Kindness, currency that compounds. Kids with hurdles, equals in essence human hues, deserving dignity's due. Spot spite, surge up voice the verdict, veto the venom. Above all, maternal metal, unmatched might. It barricades, bolsters, broadcasts worth. You're cherished, enough, that pumps pulse. Rippled realms. Sarah's ascent, Emma's emblem. Karen's pivot, legions lifted. Micro moment, mega momentum. Valor's virus, viral, maternal bond. The heartbeat hum, that's the hymn, the haven. A tot with palsy, teaching tenacity's tango. Priceless parable. It pricks tears, sure sorrow's salt mingled with solace's sweet. But those drops, dawning hope, devotion's due, faith in folks' finer fibers amid the fray, cause love. It lashes back, luminous and lasting. Triumphs over tempest, grace over grudge, and a mama's grip. It grips the globe, unbreakable, always.